The land of pizzas, pastas, wines and lasagna. Also a country of culture, fashion and home to major global brands. That's Italy. A beautiful country in Central Europe that has shaped today's history. In this video I will tell you all about geography, history and interesting facts about Italy. Before we start, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. It's a few seconds and you anytime can change your mind. Now let's start. Italy is a country in Middle Europe, but politically they consider it as the West. Borders with France, Switzerland, Austria and Slovenia, but also with two microstates, the Vatican and San Marino. If you don't know what is microstates, I recommend you to watch the previous video. This country on the Apennine Peninsula borders on as many as 5 seas. In the east it opens to the Adriatic and Ionian Seas, to the south the Mediterranean Sea and to the west the Tyrrhenian and Ligurian Seas. It has over 800 islands, the largest islands are Sicily and Sardinia, they are basically the largest in the whole Mediterranean Sea. In the central and southern parts of Italy, a Mediterranean climate prevails, which provides excellent conditions for growing olives and grapes, while in the north it is colder due to the Alpine range. Italy is a very mountainous country, and has very few navigable rivers, the largest of which are Po, Tiber and Adige. With its 300,000 square kilometers, Italy is the 71st largest country in the world and the 10th largest in Europe. Those are some basic geographical characteristics. Now let's move on to the population. Italy has a population of almost 59 million, which places it in 5th place in Europe between the UK and Spain, but in 25th place in the world below South Africa. This large population on a relatively small area makes Italy a very densely populated country, with most people living in the north, in cities such as Milan, Trento and Rome. Italy is made up of 20 regions, 5 of which are autonomous, the Aosta Valley, Friuli-Venezia Giulia, Sardinia, Sicily, and Trentino-South Tyrol. Autonomous regions are created when a large number of members of another nation live in an area, such as in South Tyrol where Germans make up a significant number. Despite this, Italy is a very homogeneous country where Italians make up 87% of the population, while the second most represented nationality is Albanians, who make up 1.5%. You must take into consideration that there are a lot of illegal immigrants from the Middle East, North Africa, India, Pakistan. The most represented religion is Catholic, logically, with Catholics making up 80% of the population, followed by atheists and agnostics with 11%, Orthodox Christians with 3.5%, and Islam with 1%. All this information is from Wikipedia, so be careful with it. The largest cities are Rome, Milan, Naples, Turin, Palermo, Genoa, Florence and Bologna. Now let's go to history. Italy has a very rich history, and in order to keep the video under an hour, I will try to shorten this segment as much as I can. Before more than 3,000 years, various Italic peoples lived on the Apennine Peninsula. The Greeks and Phoenicians established their colonies and trading posts there, especially the Greeks, from whom the peoples of this peninsula picked up many customs. That is why Roman mythology is very similar to Greek. For example, the Greek god of war Ares and the Roman god Mars, or the Greek god of the sea Poseidon and the Roman god Neptune. The year is 754 BC, and two brothers were arguing about what to name their new city. One of the brothers, Remus, wanted to name the city after himself, which his brother, Romulus, didn't like, so he killed him. A very fitting reaction. According to the legend, the two were abandoned babies who were raised by a she-wolf. That is why it is one of the symbols of the Rome. After the construction of the city, 753 BC, the Roman era begins. Rome was a kingdom until 509 BC, after which it became a republic governed by a senate and 2 consuls, so that no one person would have absolute power in the country. Economic development and the attack of the Gauls in 390 BC, forced them to create a powerful army that would be able to defend their state. After that, the Roman conquests began on the peninsula, and by the middle of the 3rd century BC, they occupied most of the territory. They assimilated the population into Roman culture and everyone began to learn Latin. From 264 to 146 BC, the Punic Wars followed between the now two most powerful states on the Mediterranean Sea, Rome and Carthage. From this bloody conflict, Rome emerges victorious and becomes the superpower of the ancient period. The conquest of the Hellenistic kingdoms brought the Roman and Greek cultures in closer contact, and the Roman elite, once rural, became cosmopolitan. Conquests across the Mediterranean continue, and Rome expands to the Iberian Peninsula, France, and North Africa. Taking advantage of the instability in the state due to his warring, Gaius Julius Caesar came to the throne, and in order to calm the situation, he imposed a dictatorship. It certainly did not go to his head. Despite his conquests, in 44 BC he was assassinated, and was succeeded by his adopted son Octavian Augustus. Octavian begins a wise reign and remains on the throne for the next 40 years. The Golden Age of Rome begins and the territory of Rome looks like this. But this period will not last forever. After 200 years, the Roman state was plagued by civil wars, external invasions, political chaos, pandemics and economic depression. Rome becomes overrun by other peoples, such as the Germans and Gauls. Realizing that this would destroy Rome, Emperor Constantine moved his capital to Byzantium, later today's Istanbul. Emperor Theodosius divides Rome in two in 395, and the Western Roman Empire falls in 476, beginning the Middle Ages. The Eastern Roman Empire, or Byzantium, will exist until 1495, when it is conquered by the Ottoman Empire. In the Middle Ages, the Apennine Peninsula would be divided into many small states, which were always under the influence of the Spanish, the Habsburgs or the Holy Roman Empire. Wait, now the Holy Roman Empire, hasn't Rome disappeared? Well, it is, the state of the Romans no longer exists, and that Holy Roman Empire was like some kind of union of Germanic small states. In the 15th and 16th centuries, small Italian states became the cultural and economic centers of Europe, and a new cultural direction, the Renaissance, was born. A few centuries later, the Italian states would realize that in order to defend themselves from the influence of other states, they needed to unite. And in the 19th century, the struggle for unification began. The Kingdom of Piedmont-Sardinia, led by Garibaldi, succeeded in uniting the peninsula in 1871. In the First World War, Italy emerged victorious with the Allies, but dissatisfied with the territories they received, plus economic instability, was an excellent basis for the popularization of extreme ideologies. Therefore, in 1922, Benito Mussolini came to power and began his dictatorship. In World War II, he would participate on the Axis side with a failed German painter. This time, they chose the wrong side, and lost the war and fell into a serious financial crisis. After WW II, Italy experienced an economic revival with the help of the USA. Together with other Western European countries and America, they founded the European Union and NATO. With this, we finish history and move on to economics and geopolitics. Italy is an economic giant and its nominal GDP for this year is $2.46 trillion, which places it in 8th place in the world and 4th in Europe. When divided by the population, we get that the average Italian makes $41,091 per year, which is almost 3 times more than the world average. Most of that GDP is made up of the automotive industry, such as Ferrari, Lamborghini, Bugatti, Maserati and of course Alfa Romeo, as well as the fashion industry. There is no person in the world who has not heard of brands such as Gucci, Prada, Dolce & Gabbana, Versace and many others. Tourism also brings them huge profits, because 57 million people visit Italy every year. However, the income gap is very different between the industrialized north and the agricultural south. This creates tensions between these two parts of Italy. The most important trading partner is Germany, followed by France, the USA and China. I think this is a good enough transition to diplomacy and geopolitics. Italy is a member of the EU, NATO, and the G7. This almost guarantees it military stability and peace. They have good relations with most of Europe, and as a representative of the Catholic Church, they have similar relations with other Catholic countries around the world. Italy's best friend is Spain. Because of their similar mentality and in general throughout history they have always been on the same side, which is sometimes not very commendable. They also have very good relations with Greece, due to historical connections dating back to ancient times. Their biggest enemy would be Russia, which they have imposed sanctions on, as well as the rest of Europe. Italy enjoys peace and generally has no tendencies on the geopolitical scene. After this long presentation, I think it's time to relax with some interesting facts. Italy has more UNESCO World Heritage Sites than any other country in the world, over 50. The most famous buildings in Italy are the Colosseum in Rome, the Leaning Tower of Pisa, St. Peter's Basilica in Vatican, the Rialto Bridge in Venice, the Sistine Chapel in Rome and many others. The list is literally endless. Italy is the only country in continental Europe that still has active volcanoes, Etna and Vesuvius. Not that Vesuvius, the real volcano. Italy is the birthplace of opera and has given the world-famous composers like Verdi and Puccini. Italy is, next to Spain, the largest producer of wine in the world. There is even a city called Ortona. There's a public fountain that flows with free red wine 24 hours a day. I believe this town is full of alcoholics. Venice has more canals than streets, has over 150 canals and more than 400 bridges, connecting about 118 small islands. I would like to do a tour of the whole of Italy one day because there is really a lot to see. Italy is truly an incredible country, and it was a huge undertaking to make this video. I won't be able to make videos like this very often because just gathering information and writing the script takes me 3 days. That's why I would like to ask you to like the video and subscribe to the channel so I can continue doing this. If you have a suggestion for which country I could cover next, leave it in the comments. I hope you enjoyed it and see you next time.